Okay, we're getting ready to put the mount on the TV. Any type of mount that you get, whether it's a flat mount or a tilt mount, articulating mount, they're always the same way. There's always a part that goes to the back of the TV, and then there's always a part that goes to the wall. So once this hooks onto the back of the TV, and this hooks onto the wall, they latch together. Just like that. That's how your TV's gonna hang. So the first thing you have to do is figure out which hardware you're gonna use. So I've already gone and done that. I use these bolts right here. The bolts are usually gonna come in a pack like this. All kinds of different hardware, different sizes and shapes and everything like that. You can pick out the one that you need, test it in the hole, make sure it's the one that you need. And there we go. So I know that fits, that's my bolt that I'm gonna use. And we're gonna put these on first. Once we figure out where these go, we can take some measurements and we'll know where the back part of the mount goes. Okay, notice we've already installed the back brackets on the TV. Notice that when we install the TV, and make sure when you guys do this for your own installations, you install this bracket right here with enough play that you can go up and down a couple inches, maybe an inch or two, whatever your maximum ability is. So you kind of want to mount this thing in the middle of the slots as best you can, because you might have messed up on your measurements, or once the TV's installed, you might wish that you could raise it or lower it just a little bit. So make sure you give yourself a little bit of play when you install these brackets so you can go up and down. Okay, we've got the arms mounted to the back of our TV. Now it's time to get the mounting bracket up here on the wall. Now the first thing I want to do is I want to find out where the center of this mantle is. I don't want the TV kicked that way or the TV kicked this way. I want the TV to be dead center on this mantle. So I took a measurement before and I figured out that this mantle to center is 32.5 inches. So I'm going to go and take a mark at 32.5 inches right there. Put a piece of tape. Put a piece of tape to mark it. Now that's just a rough estimate. I'm going to go and take a level. And I'm going to transfer that mark further upwards later on. Okay. Now, we also did measurements off camera and found out that the first bolt hole is going to be 21 inches off the top of the mantle. So we're going to come from here, up 21 inches, I'm going to put another piece of tape. Now this is blue painter's tape, so it doesn't stick to the wall or leave any residue or anything like that. So what I know is that this is the center of the mount. It needs to be above the center of the mantle, and this first bolt hole needs to be 21 inches off the top of the mantle. This TV is going to be mounted really high, but since we're in a pool room, people are going to be watching this TV standing up. So the homeowner was okay with that idea of mounting the TV really high. So the mount should sit something roughly like that, okay? The next thing we want to do is we want to find out where the studs are in this general area. So I'm going to take my stud finder and start looking for studs. Looks like I've got one stud here. I'm going to make a soft mark there. And since this is the center of the TV, I'm going to try to find a stud in that direction. There's my second stud. Okay, so I've got one stud here, one stud here. This is the center of the TV. This is the bottom bolt holes for my mount. Now, it's not good enough. If I try to mount this bracket to the stud and I don't get dead center of the stud, let's pretend that I get to the side. And I don't get dead center, and I go and sink that bolt in, boom, I bust out the side of the stud. It's not good enough to do that. We need to make sure that we're dead center in that stud. So finding the general stud location is not good enough. Our kids are going to be playing underneath this, our neighbors' kids are going to be playing underneath this, we're going to be playing underneath this TV. In case of an earthquake or anything, we want to make sure this TV is the strongest bracket that's on the wall possible. So, what I like to do is I like to take this little tiny screwdriver, and I like to find, this should be the center of the stud. And you can see how it's stuck in the wall. I know I'm on a stud right there. So I want to find the center of the stud. So I'm going to go to the left, I'm going to go to the right until I don't hit anything. Oh, right there. See my screwdriver went all the way in? That means this is the left side of the stud. I'm going to come over here to the right. Boom, right there. That's the right side of the stud. That's the left side of the stud. I need to be dead center. I put a stripe right there. Now, you might be concerned that I'm putting marks in the wall, little tiny holes in the wall. This is all going to get covered up by the TV, and it's very important that we have a really strong base. Okay, we can't be playing games with this. This is important that our mount is really strong and firm on the wall. So that's going to be one side here. Let's go over here to our other mount, or to our other stud. Look at that. That's stuck in there. That's how we know we're a stud there. Let's go to the right. So I sunk in there. I know that's the right side of the stud. Go this way. That's the left side of the stud. That means the center, right between the two. Boom. Okay, so now I've got it. This is where I'm going to put the left bolt. This is where I'm going to put the right bolt. And I'm going to try to make sure the center of the mount is right here. And I'm going to maintain 21 inches across the bottom. Okay? So these are the lag bolts that come with the mount. And you can't just screw these into the wall, okay? Don't do that. It's going to split the stud. It's not going to hold. It's going to be a lot of problems. What you have to do is you have to drill what's called a pilot hole. So you're going to get a drill bit. And how to choose the right pilot size is sometimes they'll tell you in the instructions. But if they don't, what I like to do is I take the drill bit, hold it in front of the lag bolt, and all I want to see on either side of that drill bit are just the threads. Okay? I should just be able to see just the threaded part right here on the outside passing this. So in other words, this thing is going to drill a hole first. It's going to core out that center section of the lag bolt. So this lag bolt is just going to be grabbing onto those threads, and that's going to give us lots of strength. But if we don't do that, not only are we going to burn up our drill trying to get this bolt inside the wall, but we're probably going to split that stud. And if that stud splits, this bolt's not holding on anymore. Okay. Now the arms are mounted on the back of the TV. I came over here to my wall. I've made my measurements. I found out where my studs are. Got a stud here. Got a stud here. I found out where the center of my stud is by popping holes in the wall. I got my lag bolts ready to go. And I've got my pilot drill already in my drill, ready to drill the holes. Okay, now what your temptation is going to be, you're going to think it's faster and better just to go drill all 4 holes at once. Don't do that. That's number 1 rookie mistake. Don't do that. We're going to do 1 hole at a time, and you're going to see why. So here's my hole right here. This hole right here is the center of the mount. So I'm going to take this hole, put it on my line, and that's going to line me out. Stick that in my piloted hole, start sinking it down. Okay, make sure you put this on right side up. You know, don't just get in such a hurry that you go and mount it upside down and then figure out once you get the TV up on the wall that you got a problem. Okay, my first hole is in. Okay, this is the reason that we don't go drilling all 4 of our holes right off the bat. Okay, we're going to do 1 at a time. The reason is we're going to drill 1 and we don't want the other ones to be slightly off, because if it's slightly off, it's going to push them out a tiny bit, but a tiny bit on a big TV ends up being a lot. Your TV might be off 1/2 inch or 3/4 of an inch just because you didn't do your holes right. So we do 1 hole, then we take our level, we're going to level them out. And we want this to be exact. We don't want this close, we want this dead on. Right there. Okay, once our mount is straight, perfectly level, we're going to drill another pilot hole. I've already marked where the center of my stud is, so I'm going to take my pilot hole, drill in the center of the slot, up and down, because if I'm off a little bit and I put the bolt in, it's going to move them out. So I'm going to be dead center in the slot, right on the center of the stud, drill another hole. change out my tip. Get ready to put in another bolt. Oh, by the way, when you're putting on your bolts, make sure you use the washers that come with it. Anytime there's a slot, you need to have a washer, okay? If you don't have a washer, there's a chance your bolt might go through the mount or might not hold as well. Make sure you're always using washers, okay? Got the hole drilled. Oh, you can see when I put this bolt in, kicked my mount a little bit. That's not good. We want this thing to be perfect, all right? So I'm gonna go ahead and loosen these up just a little bit. Get this thing center again. So now we're dead center again. I'm gonna resync it. Beautiful. This is the center of the mantle. We're dead center on the studs. Our mount is perfectly level. Now the last thing I have to do is just drill in the top part of the bracket.